right, what's up, guys? We is back, man. We got my man Dashon. Me and Dashon been bumping heads a little bit. We got some little bit different views on some things, man. So we back again, man. So what's up, Dashon? How we going to talk? What we going to start at today, man?
It's your world, man. Whatever you want to talk about.
So all right. So let's start here. I want to kind of go to the core of it. So right. I'm gonna speak to my point, and you speak to yours.
Yes, sir.
And I do. So I think communication is always better. Group texting and all that can get lost.
Yes, sir.
I think that I want to be clear. I think the G League, if you take a G League team as a whole and put it into college basketball, do I think they're going to win? Yes, I do. I don't think that that's better. I think the system that college has is better than G League system. Because in the G League, you're playing every other day. You don't really match up against any player. So that's not, if you've read how I've read and I read how you've read, they don't really say today we're going to come and shut down Cade. We're going to shut down Jalen Green. They just play teams because they always rotate in and out. College basketball would be if Jalen Green, let's take Cade out. Jalen Green is in college. He goes against Duke. Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, is going to game plan that whole game plan to shut him down. If he overcomes that, I look at that as like that's the accomplishment. To me, the G League is that one-on-one. So when the team plays Cade, regardless of how you think about Cade, they're like, we're going to shut him down. And when they don't, to me, that's more valuable than going to the G League, where it's one-on-one basketball, it's open running gun offense. So yes, G League as a whole, with college players 22 and older, whatever it may be, playing against 18, 19-year-olds, yes. But I just think overall. Go ahead.
All right. Now, a lot of what you just said, I agree 100% with. I do feel that the G League plays to the offensive side of the ball. They do kind of focus on individuality. So I understand where you're going with that, but I think since you did speak on Cade, I'm gonna speak on Cade. For example, you said Coach K.
Yeah,
that's the upper echelon of college basketball. You're bringing up one of the greatest coaches of all times.
Okay.
He didn't have a Coach K. There wasn't in the Big 12. You don't have that type of pedigree.
Okay.
It's not there. And that's where I go with the G League as far as overall. I agree with you as far as the style of play is by far different, but the level of the players in the G League is hands down better players. They're more developed. And there's no guy on Liberty that's going to slow down an offensive weapon that plays in the G League.
And so
to that magnitude.
Yeah, and I don't want you to think I disagree. So this is my perspective on what you said, and I'm not going to act like I know everything, but because I just don't all things basketball in the world. But if you're telling me that Baylor is in the same conference, Baylor might have the most NBA players on a team, or potential NBA players on the team. He played 2 games against Baylor. Both of them he did good. One game he really did good. Other game he was okay, but then he took over in the second half. He had a slow start, and he took over second half, and they won that game. So here it is against the good team. And the Big 12 was not slouches now. Come on. Now, if we look at rankings.
This year, the Big 12 was solid. They were solidified this year. But when I'm speaking on the Big 12, I'm speaking it historically.
Okay.
They're not an ACC. They're not an ACC conference. They're not a Big 10 conference. Every game in the Big 12 isn't a tough road game.
Okay. Now I respect that. Okay.
That's where I'm getting at. I'm not talking about, obviously, Baylor was an exceptional team this year. They came home with the trophies.
Yeah, and Kansas was a number 1 team. Kansas was a number 1 seed. So I'm saying all of them are Big 12. So that's what I'm saying this year. So I get what you're saying. Like if you're saying throughout years, the last 5 years, they were not it.
Over history period.
That's what I'm saying. Historically, they're not the big there.
And to piggyback off of where I'm going with the Big 12, out of the guys who done what Cade done this year, there's been 4 of them out of the Big 12 that won Freshman of the Year along with Big 12 Player of the Year. You got Blake Griffin, you got Marcus Smart, and then you got Beasley.
Well, Beasley was a beast. Now Beasley had the mental issues.
I'm not here to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking on the players.
Yeah.
for every great college guy, there's a player who was just as good as them at the college level, or excuse me, for every good player that goes pro from the college level, you got a player that was just as good as them, put up the same numbers in them, very similar, that ended up in the G League. That's all I'm saying. That's
so,
my angle.
So when Cade, so let's just measure Cade and Green coming in together. So if you look at most of the college rankings, if you in high school, coming out of high school rankings, Cade was rated more number one. There was a lot of ties, but Cade was rated more. ESPN had them all tied. They had Green as the number one, but they were all tied at 97, like their ratings at 97.
But go to the other ones. If when you go to 24/7 and other things too.
Cade, that's Cade.
It was Cade number one, just like you said. ESPN had Jalen Green number one, but they was tied in ranking numbers.
That's what I'm saying.
The same thing. It was the same thing the other way. They was all 97s. Him, Mobley, and Cade.
Right.
So when we discussing these players, we're truly just splitting hairs here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
These guys. My thing about the overall thing is, Elder, is it's like this. It's a thing to where I don't believe that it's just as clear cut as guys want to make it out to be.
Okay, I respect that.
You see, I feel like everybody, because obviously the G League, when a lot of guys didn't choose to go that G League route. The 4 or 5 guys that did choose to go that route, you know what I'm saying? They did what they did. You had the top pick that was supposed to go to Michigan. He was what, number 9, number 12?
14, but yeah, break down around there about 14. But go ahead. Yep.
Okay, 14. I ain't got the number right on my head.
Yeah, you good.
Right. So 14, that's cool too. He a top 15 pick. He was a top 15 recruit. That's upper echelon talent. Mm-hmm. So he chose to go that route. A lot of other guys didn't know what the situation was with the bubble. They didn't even know if they was gonna have a G League play this year. They could have all just been basically practicing somewhere. Yeah. So it was a situation where guys didn't actually get to see enough of Green and what he brings to the table. You see what I'm saying?
No, I respect that. I actually respect that. And I think that's my point. If Green plays, I'm gonna look at the guy, and I hate, like I said, I hate that we I don't hate it. I think it's healthy, but Green plays 15 games in the G League. Cade, Suggs, Mobley, and Kuminga played 15 games G League, and Cade, Suggs, Mobley, they all played 30-some games. I would put the bigger sample size of having to be more consistent day in and day out. Even if you play lesser guys, you still have to be more consistent.
Yes.
And then also my thing in the last comment I said, and just for clarity, I was just trying to say, like, when you go to the G League, because it's not national games, because nobody's looking. I looked at a G League video of Cade. It's on YouTube, and it's posted by the G League or whoever posted it. It only has 750 views.
Right.
So that means people aren't looking for him. But you look at the games when they post. Now you look at his Ballers Life videos; they got like a million views. So that was saying a lot of. I'm not saying you, but a lot of people are not watching him play, but they're just going off the highlights. People watch Cade play, so when he can say, "Okay, he doesn't look like this," but they haven't had a chance to look at Green to say he has to look like this.
And I agree with that 100%. And me personally, when I speak on Cade and Jalen Green, I feel like I done did adequate enough research and actually looked into both players at an in-depth level where I could speak to the strengths as well as the weaknesses without it may seem like I may come off with a biased opinion towards Green, but it's not that it's a biased opinion. It's just setting clarity to the Cade talk more so, because you got a lot of guys that if this was any other situation, some of the weaknesses and some of the stats that Cade did put up would be huge question marks if he wasn't considered the number one consensus.
Okay, I respect that.
You can't.
Go ahead.
Not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Nobody wants to address, the assist and turnover situation. You can't be considered a high level facilitator when you have literally a negative assist to turnover ratio. You literally had more turnovers than assists. And everybody's supposed to expect you to go to the next level, to jump right to the NBA and be a high caliber guy. on doing that, that's asking a lot for a 19-year-old.
I think it's just so I don't focus so much on the facilitation, and I think that will come. I look at the offensive proficiency of his game. I think when you can score at every level, and they all play the same guys, man. They was doing this like Cade and Green was battling in high school. They was in the same AAUs. They went overseas. They both did about the same overseas. You know, they wasn't neither one of them shot the lights out. They struggled. They got better as shooters. So I just look at scoring proficiency, but I look at Cade as a package better than right now than Green. And like I said, Green I think will be eventually potentially that 25 point per game type guy. I just think Cade can be that 25 point per game per guy, but also make players better around him. I have not seen that in Green.
But okay,
that's what excites me.
And that's a respectful comment. That's a good point to make. But to negate that and to speak on that, I would tell you this also. Cade's gonna be that 25-pointer guy with the ball in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Green is gonna give you 25 points a night playing off the ball.
Okay,
that's the difference. Green will make the players around him better in a different way. Cade's gonna find them for open looks, and he's gonna put pressure on the defense by trying to break down the defense methodically and find these guys for open looks. Where Jalen Green is such a talent offensively that he's going to force the defense to already make the adjustments prior to game planning. Like you were just saying, Coach.
Okay, I respect what you're saying.
So they both go about their business. They both is proven winners.
Yeah.
They both it's such a hard thing to judge because they go about their business so differently.
I would say, oh, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What you was gonna say?
I say, but I think sometimes the tone. And I get it, and I am that person. I'm a lot of times I'm that person. Like when everybody's like looking at one thing, I'm like, man, you gotta look at this. But I think and there's nothing wrong with it. Like everybody can have different opinions and feelings. Like there's somebody in a group who's like, I think we should take Mobley, and I respect the person. I respect the person because it's who he is and what his knowledge. And he's like, we should take Mobley. So it's not about everybody has to be on board with Green or everybody has to be on board with Cade or everybody got to be on board. I just think sometimes it's like. It's getting to the point where if it's like we got to nitpick a person all the way down, if I could look at Green and say, like, based on my research and like you said, my background, my research, if I can say Green is a good 3-point shooter, he's already proven this. He's a good slasher, but he struggles here, and here, and this is why. And if you say, I like Cade for A, B, and C, but that D and E, it really bothers me. That's cool, but I'm just saying sometimes we got to come back and look at those factors, like what separates them. And yes. I think Cade good, his separator, I think it separates him from the pack. I just think that.
Right. Now I'll say this. If you go to, I guess, the experts, if you will, if you go to the NBA scouts and things, they have broke down the tape.
Mm-hmm.
It's on there. Who has the less weaknesses between the two? From what they're giving you, guys with 100,000s of views and things like that, they're telling you Cade. They're saying he's less athletic. He has a problem with ball handling skills. So I posted that in the group. I posted that in the group a little while ago, where Jalen Green's defensive awareness needs to put on pounds, needs to bulk up a little bit. Those are things that every 19-year-old is going to need to do coming into the NBA, where court awareness or, lack of aggressiveness, those is things you don't want in a top draft pick. If Cade Cunningham, if they're putting that on as a weakness, and that's a legitimate weakness, I'm not saying I dissected it and seen it. I seen him where I was like, why he ain't going to the hole? Why he ain't getting aggressive? In some of those games that you were talking about, he had a bad first half. I felt like he should have took it right to Baylor. You gotta get engaged early to set the tone when you're that type of team that needs your support.
But what if he's the type of guy who says, I'm going to work to get my teammates involved and I'll take over later? What if that's a coaching strategy?
That's garbage. And I'm going to tell you why that's garbage right now. Because me and you both know that team he had in Oklahoma State wasn't talking about nothing.
Right.
So at what point, you being the top dog in the nation, do you say, I've been trying to get these guys involved lately. This is a big game. I'm gonna take it upon me tonight. You can't sit there game in, game out, force feeding guys that's not doing nothing and call yourself working.
But
That's
when
not
you
work.
getting doubled though, but we getting doubled though. But are you not a LeBron's fan? And I'm not a big LeBron guy, but LeBron, he does the same thing.
And I don't respect it.
Jordan did the same thing.
Jordan attacked.
No. First,
Kobe attacked.
They take over late.
It's funny you bring these two up because if you ask me, if both of them hit their ceiling, that's kind of similar. You got Jalen Green that has a much more of a Kobe Bryant, a Michael Jordan attack mode approach to the game, and I'm gonna get buckets to where they have to double team me. I don't need to get to certain spots on the floor. They're gonna have to send two guys regardless. So and then you have the Luka Doncic, the LeBron James type that chooses to methodically run the offense, primary ball handler, feed guys. But then what happens when these guys ain't hitting? It goes back to being on you, and you better be able to get buckets.
But he is clutch.
He was clutch at the college level.
Right. That's all we got, though.
But okay, there's been a lot of guys that had great success. I'm not arguing the fact that I'm not trying to sit here and try to demote it when I said that, like at the college level. All I'm saying is there's been a lot of guys that had success at the college level. But a lack of athleticism, if you showcasing a lack of athleticism in the college level, what do you think that does? How does that translate to the pros?
I think that term is thrown around like I don't think he's elite. And I know Jalen Green is a better athlete, and I've never argued that. But would you look at Devin Booker, and what would you call Devin Booker?
A pure scorer.
But his athleticism? It's not elite. You would call it good. Jason Tatum, it's not elite. It's good.
It's good, but
right. I think he is there. I think he's there.
But he's not the type of and that's when I said when you package that with the lack of aggressiveness, those guys don't suffer from having a lack of aggressiveness. These are guys.
I don't think he has a lack of aggressiveness. I think we're going to disagree there. I don't think he has a lack of aggressiveness. I think his assertiveness when it said in that one. When I think that one thing it said he's not assertive, he needs to. It actually said he could be more assertive. Not that he's not assertive, he could be more assertive. I think he's literally. I want to get my team involved. These are guys I want to. I know I'm going to need my team. But in the second half, I'm saying.
When I hear stuff like that, the only thing I can say is whatever helps you sleep at night, brother. If that's the take you want to look at it, I'm looking at him like the top tier talent, somebody that should be.
So they got to go from beginning to end,
and that's what I'm doing. I'm giving them every opportunity. He already solidified his college resume.
Right.
He did everything he could do at the college level of what he was going to do there. But you have to understand that he was the 4th seed. He didn't dominate college basketball at the level of other guys who came before him that was clear cut. When you watched him at the college level, you said, wow, this guy is a real star. Devin Booker specifically, guys wasn't even up on him. I got articles that I wrote about Devin Booker. He's from Grand Rapids. A lot of people don't even know that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I got articles that I wrote about Devin Booker. Devin Booker was the second leading scorer on that undefeated Kentucky team coming off the bench with 5 shot attempts. I was telling guys then that this man is a pure scorer. He shoots 5 times a game and he's second on the team in scoring.
Right.
This man don't miss.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I look between the lines. I don't use as much judgment as far as me looking at what guys say as far as TV and different things like that. I look at the numbers. I make a legitimate judgment from my own personal knowledge of what I've seen in the game of basketball. That's what I try to do.
No, and I respect that. And I would say this, and and I appreciate it. Like I said, it's different when people talk versus texting or messaging. What I was saying about Cade is when I watch him play, I don't see hesitation. I don't see fear. I don't see that. I see a guy who knows his team is not that good and want to get him involved. But in fourth or last quarters,
second half.
Second halves.
Yeah, right.
He takes over. He's like in the clutch. Like they said, when you 5 minutes up or down by 5 points, who scores the most points? He did more than anybody. So when it's goal time, he's not afraid to take the big shots. Like you look at his game winners, he's not passing out of those. He's taking over games.
That's true story. That's facts. But you have to understand why they're in these tight 5-point games, because he been not asserting himself in the way he's asserting himself that last 5 minutes. He's not in those predicaments if he's asserting himself for the first 35.
Okay, I can understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
That's what I'm getting at. You see what I'm saying?
I can respect that.
And that's what I'm saying. He has the ability to turn it on. He showcases in the end of these games that he could turn it on at the blink of an eye. But you have to do it early. You have to set that type of tone with your team. That's one thing. When they played in the Peach tournament, I don't know if you've seen any of the footage from the Peach Jam tournament. Team Titans, Texas Titans, Cade Cunningham versus Jalen Green.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen, the same approach.
Yeah,
it was a tight game. They ended up losing 84-81.
Yeah,
but he took that same approach. I'm gonna try to pass it around. I'm gonna get guys involved. This is a showdown between the two top talents. This is when ESPN knocked Cade off the radar and put Jalen Green ahead of him.
But ain't that like the role of a facilitator?
The role of any floor general in any offense is to find buckets for the team.
Mm-hmm.
The best play ain't always the open man. It's the reason some of these guys are open.
Right.
You've been on if you ever played basketball before, you know a guy is self-checked.
Yeah.
You can't sit here and pass it to these guys nonstop all game when you know he's incapable of getting the job done.
But have you heard him talk about his team though?
Yeah.
He enjoys playing with these guys. So if he enjoys playing with these guys, you could be that guy. I think Jalen Green enjoyed playing with Kuminga. I look at some stuff. I follow him a little bit, see how he shot out him and Isaiah Todd. I think he enjoyed playing with the guys. Knicks, I think he enjoyed playing with those guys.
Yes, sir. I believe that too. I believe that for real.
Yeah, so I think you can enjoy playing with your teammates, and you know that if I do this all day long, maybe he wins more games, maybe he loses. I've seen guys score a lot of points in college and not even win. How many games did Kevin Durant win when he was
I think he made it to the Sweet 16 or something.
What, the Sweet 16?
I think so.
I have to go back to check, but
I think he did. I'm not for sure, but that's no further, I don't think, than the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I just think that sometimes it's not necessarily a passive DNA in you. I just think that college basketball presents layers of difficulty, and I'll say this, of the 2-3 zones, the 1-3-1s, the 3-2s, that literally is and game planning to shut you down. So when you come up the floor and right up the floor, you're getting doubled. You giving up the ball.
Right.
So when I watch Green games, I only watch 4 Green games on you. I seen him get double teamed one time. I seen him get double trapped one time. It's just you know what I mean?
A lot of that is the G League floor spacing. I agree. The college court is smaller. So right. a lot of that is the G League floor spacing. But you know what too though? You gotta do what you know to do. With that being said, if you got NBA range, and I'm speaking on Cade Cunningham here, if you have NBA range, you have to pop them a couple times over the head before that double can set up. You have to make them play you further out on the court. You have to do certain things. All right, you have to do certain things. You have to do certain things to benefit it. And I understand that college level athletes, you know what I'm saying? They good players and they do have their good schemes, but we cannot, I go back to it, man. We cannot sit here and act like every team he played in the Big 12 was Baylor. Some of those guys ain't had no defense as a team. Some of those guys was 6'2" checking him. So we not finna sit here and act like.
And he dogged them though. He had some 40s, some 29s, some 30s. I'm just saying, you're not gonna do that all year long. I don't think Kevin Durant averaged 30. You know what I mean?
You mind if I smoke a cigarette?
Oh no, go ahead, brother.
All right, I ain't want to,
Yeah, this is a safe place.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't here to.
I appreciate it though.
Yes, sir. But overall, it's like to go back to Cade, or excuse me, to go back to Green though. I just want to touch light on Green real quick. You know what I'm saying? Green to me is the more proven winner between the two as well.
Okay.
And I say that not to say Cade don't have his own accolades,
Mm-hmm.
but there's not too many under 18 athletes that have 3 gold medals, man.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take that away, especially like I don't know if I posted it earlier, you seen it earlier. On that team, he had Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Isaac Okoro, the number 4 pick last year.
That's my guy. Go ahead.
And Jalen Suggs.
Mm-hmm.
They was all on that team, and he was 16 years old. He goes home with the honors of MVP. He brings the gold home with those guys. But who was the focal point? He was. Who was the star? When it's one thing I'll say about Jalen Green, and he hasn't let it down. When you put him in a room full of real ballers, Cade Cunningham in the Big 12 wasn't going up against true ballers on a night-to-night basis. But whenever you put Jalen Green in a room full of ballers, just like they did with Isaiah Todd and these other guys we just named, they all premier ballers at the high school level. When you put him in a room full of the best ballers, he performs.
Yeah, he struggles too.
What I mean by that, he's the leading scorer of those teams. At the end of the season, he's the guy.
Right.
And when you say struggle, you got to say that lightly because we talk about Cade's efficiency, but Green was more efficient. So if he struggled, if he struggled, then what did Cade really do?
Once again, I'm going back to it. You are getting a team that has 3-4 days of preparation time for you. G League, they're not preparing for Green. They're not preparing for Kuminga. They're not preparing for nobody. They're playing every other day. So it's a different level of pressure that you're facing. And also in G League, it's just a different level of freedom there. It's a different level of play.
But some of that got to be negated. Some of that has to be negated. Some of that preparation and game planning has to be negated by lack of skill set, by lack of athleticism, by lack of talent that's in that Big 12. You only can put makeup on a pig so much, it's still a pig. Those guys, most of the teams he played against are not going anywhere. They're gonna go be doctors, lawyers, dentists, whatever they're gonna be in their professional life. They are not pursuing basketball.
You don't think that Cade could have done this in G League?
I don't think Cade would have averaged 20 a night in the G League.
17. Let's give it 17, 18 with Green.
I'm talking about his numbers. He averaged 20 this year.
No, I'm asking. You don't think he could do what Green did in the G League?
I don't think so. Because last time, and I'm going to say why.
Okay.
I'm going to speak facts.
All right.
When he played with Montverde, when he played with elite talent, his numbers dropped. He's the type of player that when he gets on the floor with other elite talents, he defers to them.
As a point guard.
No. I'm not going to accept that because his numbers weren't elite when he was in Texas.
What were they? He literally transcended every year. He got better every year. You talking about a guy who gets better every year?
Yeah. Yes, he got better every year. I agree with that. But for instance, I'm gonna speak it. 14 points, 6.2 assists, 4.2 rebounds.
On Montverde, right?
And they said those numbers were low because of the talent he played with.
Right.
Okay. So this year, and they say Jalen Green's numbers was high because of the lack of talent he played with at 31 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. So this year, hear me out. Uh-huh. This year, when he goes to college, he's the one with the lack of talent. Jalen Green is the one in the G League with Kuminga, with other top 20 talents.
Mm-hmm.
His numbers don't decrease like that. His numbers stay the same. Matter of fact, his numbers are almost pretty similar to Cade. So when Cade goes to play amongst himself and it's time to be the superstar and the man of the team like Jalen Green was that prolific, he wasn't that prolific.
I know, but you can't really compare high school now.
Well, you can when all those guys that they was playing with all went on. Everybody on that Montverde team is all D1.
And but they've all said Cade is that guy. Like they've all said Cade is that guy.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing what they said.
So what would you rather have? Who would you rather have? And not the player, but the stats. And we could close, give us about 2 more minutes. I got to get ready to jet.
Yes, sir.
Would you rather have, and we can do this another time too. This was good. Would you rather do, let's just say Cade maxes out. and Cade is. I'm trying to be rational and do some realistic stuff. Let's just say in 2 years he's 24. Let's just give him like Jason Tatum numbers, but let's say he's 22, 23, 4 points a game. He's giving you 6 assists. He's giving you 6 rebounds. His team is winning because he's getting people involved. You know, I'm talking about on the Pistons.
Yeah.
His team is winning. Blah, 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 blah. And then we have Green, who comes in. Let's give him 26 points a game. Let's just bump him 26 points a game, but he's not giving me the same amount of rebounds. He's not giving me the diversity in scoring. And the team is winning. Just say both teams are winning because I don't want to say that. You would want the guy who can do a little bit more and do a little bit.
You know something? I'm gonna answer that question. You ain't even got to say no more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna go with Green, and the reason for that is this: we have other guys.
Okay.
The Pistons organization has never been no one-man show. We a team concept guy. Our point guard runs the point guard. Our shooting guard thumps the ball. That's traditionally how we always play. Jalen Green and Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes will be giving you 10 assists a game if he has that option, giving you 25 a night next to him. He's going to be feeding that man. So you're negating that could be if he's a 25 point a night scorer. I feel like him and Killian would be in 2 or 3 years the best backcourt in the NBA. Okay. With that being said, because you're going to have a pass first point guard and a defensive minded point guard, big in size, and you're going to have an offensive scorer on the other end. Now, to also further that, Cade Cunningham, if he's doing that, what is other guys doing? Is everybody standing around? Are they really just spacing the floor? In order for Cade to thrive, he's going to have to run a set where he has the ball in his hands, he's facilitating, he's in pick and roll offense, and you got 4 guys standing around spacing the floor. That's not Piston basketball. And I don't agree.
I don't agree. We can pick this up another day. Because Cade off the ball, he can do it. He can do it off the ball. But, man, this is good. I'm glad we had a chance to get up here and chat it up. And, man, we got to set up a time like next week where we can run it back again. And we can do we can put out some stats and some analysis, run some videos. We can break it down, man. But this was good. I'm saying, Dashon.
Yes, sir.
Man, you guys, y'all follow Dashon, man. Me and him have some different views on some things, but it was good to chop it up with this brother, man. I love it. I like hearing people. Like I said, that's always my first option. I want to hear people talk out their points and their thoughts. I like his perspective. I don't agree, but I like his perspective of what he's saying. And we came to some good understanding, man. So it was good chopping it up with you, brother. And I appreciate you jumping on with me today, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on, man.
I appreciate you. We'll chop it up again.
Look forward to it. But I got one more thing to say, though. You say your boy Cade could play off the ball. If he's playing off the ball, he ain't giving you those assists. I'm done.
All right. We good, man. All right, brother. All right. Talk to you soon, man.
Yes, sir.